Good morning, and welcome to the Morning Breath Livestream, where we start our day with coherence. I'm your host, Jeremy Tennell, systems designer and coherence coach, and this is day 33 of our 14-week journey entitled The Path of Personal Transformation. And today, we're talking about agreements. You didn't know you had a communication problem. You had an agreement problem. You felt aligned, everyone said yes, but instead of naming expectations early, you assumed everyone was on the same page, because what you didn't agree on early caused conflict of interest and values later. I've stepped into many spaces where everything felt aligned, same goals, same language, same energy. Let's get something moving. Let's get something building. At least that's what we thought. And so we moved forward. We started planning, delegating, executing, but then small things started showing up. Missed expectations and unclear communications, tension that didn't get addressed. And what I realized later than I should have was we never actually made any sort of group agreements on how we were going to work together, how we were going to communicate, what was a problem and what was a success. We all brought in our own value system, but we didn't have a value system that we agreed upon. We assumed it. And those assumptions became the source of every breakdown that followed. Co-creation does not run on assumptions. It runs on agreements. And most people skip this step. They get right to work. They start the meeting with no protocol because agreements feel unnecessary, uncomfortable, too formal. And so instead we rely on what we think is alignment, or at least what we assume is alignment. But let's be clear, alignment is not agreement. Alignment is the shared capacity and responsibility. Agreement is the shared commitment and value system. Alignment silently says, I will remain responsible for how I show up. Whereas agreement says, I am willing to be held accountable by others. Without agreement, alignment loses structure. For connecting with others, and co-creation fades. This is where the breakdown begins, because what isn't made explicit becomes implicit. And implicit expectations are dangerous. You've heard them before. They'd come out of your mouth or others. I thought we were going to. I assumed we were. I didn't know that mattered. And now you're not just dealing with a task problem. You're dealing with the tension of having no foundation to work from with others. And remember what we said, conflict is honest, but when conflict is delayed, it becomes magnified. So what could have been a simple conversation early turns into frustration later, not because anybody intended harm necessarily, but because no one defined the values and the agreements you were going to work from. From a systems perspective, agreements are structural. They are stabilizers. They define roles, expectations, boundaries, and feedback loops. Without them, the system defaults to a series of assumptions, and those turn into misrepresentations and misinterpretations. Fiction begins to grow, and you begin to try and make micro corrections in order to try and stabilize. But that tension just grows over time. When you've built agreements early on, before you've gotten started with the work, the pattern shifts to clarity, action, and feedback. You can make adjustments along the way. Progress moves forward. Agreement does not remove conflict. It makes conflict usable, while it's still manageable. Without agreements, conflict doesn't disappear. It just goes underground. And what goes underground builds pressure. And this is bigger than teams. This is cultural. We've been conditioned to avoid hard conversations, told to prioritize harmony over clarity. We assume understanding instead of confronting it and confirming it. So we move fast and we say yes. We figure it out as we go. But what we're really doing is building on undefined ground. And then we're surprised when things feel unstable because clarity was never established in the first place. Agreements were never made and accountability had nowhere to land. Today, before you build anything, before you start the meeting with anyone, pause, ask out loud, what have we actually agreed to here? Not assumed, not implied, agreed to. How do you communicate? How do we handle tension? What does accountability look like in this situation? What pace are we moving at? Because co-creation doesn't fail from a lack of vision. It fails from a lack of structure. Today, find some time to spend with your journals and I want you to work through a couple of questions. The first is, what agreements do I need before I build with someone? What are they generally? The second, what have I been relying on? Assumptions instead of clarity. Finally, what expectations have I not made explicit? And what conversations would prevent future tension? Explore these and see where they go for yourself. Let's move into our breath work. Let's find a comfortable seat. Why do we do breath work on a daily basis? It's a good question. We do breath work on a daily basis for two reasons. The first is because when we intentionally engage with breath from a place of awareness and we utilize and learn how to work with the space and the rhythm that breath provides in our lives, we are able to create space and rhythm outside of ourselves. It creates a stabilizing place for us to create things like agreement. The second is that ongoing practice with intentional breath work and connecting the emotional cognitive center to the logical cognitive center, or the intuition cognitive center to the logical cognitive center, allows us to expand our cognitive ability. You see, there's not just neurons in the brain. There's about 1 trillion in the brain, but not just in the brain. There's about 50,000 neurons at the top of the heart, and there's about 1 billion neurons in your gut. And those centers are connected by the largest nerve bundle in the body. And electrical signals are moving up and down, but more signals are moving up than are moving down. And so we practice breath work because it is through breath that we were able to expand and connect these cognitive centers. And what they do for us, just like building a muscle in a gym, is they create resilience within our nervous system so that we can meet conflict and we can meet potentially anxiety-inducing situations with much more clarity. They produce coherence in our cognitive ability. Breath is a superpower if you choose to learn how to use it. So we practice every day. Let's sit up straight with our feet on the ground, shift our hips, roll your shoulders back. And let's start with an inhale. In through your nose, out through your mouth with a sigh. Again, in through your nose, out through your mouth with a sigh. Place our hand over our heart. We're targeting this emotional cognitive center. And we're going to begin with about a 6-second inhale. So inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. In through your nose, through your mouth. Keep that pattern going. Now begin a gratitude list in your head, cultivating positive emotions in order to connect our cognitive centers. I am thankful to be here, thankful for the day. I am thankful for the sunrise, thankful for my support system, thankful the opportunities that today brings. And expand and let your gratitude spiral outward. Keep it going with your breath. Stay with it. You get distracted, come back to your breath and your gratitude. You're expanding your resilience. You're expanding your cognitive capacity. Continue your gratitude. Spiral out bigger than you thought you could. Inhale through your nose. Exhale with a sigh. Again, the space. Agreements don't make things rigid. They make things real. They create a foundation where trust can actually exist. Because trust is not built on intention. It is built on consistency. And consistency requires clarity. So don't wait until things feel off. Don't wait until tension builds. Name it early. Agree to it clearly. Build from there. Start your meetings with protocol. Ensure everyone is on the same page. Engage in breath with your groups and your teams. 3 breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. You will change the dynamic of your meetings. If this resonated, stay with the work. This place is for those who are practicing. Become a practitioner. It's not just about listening. Take a breath. Speak clearly and build on what's real. I'll see you tomorrow at 5:30.